Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Welcome to the weekly gardening vlog. Today we are doing something super duper exciting, and we are headed down to the bottom of our property, and we're finally going to plant this entire 89-foot flower bed with all of those. And I got a bunch here too. We have a bunch of nasturtiums and a bunch of sunflowers that we're going to plant right in the ground. And then we have all of these calendulas and marigolds and blue boys and nigella. I think there's even some herbs in there. There's a couple more up there that we're going to need to get, but I'm going to hold off on that. So it is kind of sort of sprinkling just a little bit, which is why I haven't brought you along just yet. I wasn't actually planning to, and then I finally was like, you know what, I'm going to try. Because I kind of want to show you the method that I'm using to plant these, and then I'm probably just going to plow through them all. The first thing to note, this one here is obviously not going to get a tremendous amount of sun, so I'm going to save that for whichever one I do my research on that doesn't require a lot of sun and kind of can just be left alone, basically. And then my plan for the rest of these, they're all in 8-foot boxes. I think I counted 12, 11, 1, 2, 11 boxes total, and they're 8 feet long. Each one is its own little box. And so what I'm going to do with them is I'm going to plant like a main flower in each one. Like I'm going to do one that's calendulas and one that's marigolds and one that's, you know, just a main kind of a flower. And then kind of behind it, basically just trailing up this fence here, I'm going to put like maybe some beans or peas, and I'm going to do some nasturtiums and stuff like that, something that can kind of climb up the fence and look all nice and pretty. And I'm kind of using the nasturtiums. I know that they really, really attract aphids, so I'm hoping to kind of use it as a lure to keep them away from the prettiness up there. We'll see how it works, but I'll bring you along and show you. And then at the end, I'm going to show you something super duper awesome. And we're going to do a little bit of a garden tour. Just a kind of an update garden tour, not like a full tour. Not a good sign, there's already slugs in it. Crap. I have so many slugs around here, it's not even funny. Oh, why would slugs be funny? They're slugs, they're gross. Finally got everything all ready, and we are set up to start the planting. And this bed in particular, we're going to do a bit of an experiment in, because like I was saying earlier, the nasturtiums, they tend to attract aphids, and you kind of can use them as a lure to get the aphids kind of away from your main garden. And then zinnias, I was looking them up to see, you know, companion planting. I wanted to see if the zinnias tended to be susceptible to aphids, because I didn't want to plant the nasturtiums and the zinnias in the same bed if it would ruin the zinnias, because zinnias are my thing. And I was looking it up, and it says that zinnias attract predatory insects to aphids. So we're gonna see which one wins out in the end of the day. All right, so let's get to it. Basically, let's get some weed out here. These beds are not very deep at all. They are about 3.5 inches deep. They're deep as a 2x4. I think I'm gonna kind of just interplant these, because I don't know really which ones are supposed to grow really tall and which ones are not. So we're just gonna kind of go for it. And it's supposed to rain quite a bit for the next few days, so I'm not worried about watering them in. I'm just watering them in with some fish emulsion to help with the transplanting. Because like the skies are supposed to open up here pretty quick. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to kind of pretty densely plant these in here, and then I just did a row of the, what are these called? I think they're Fiesta? Yeah, Fiesta nasturtiums. These ones. So I'm just gonna do similar all the way down as far as I have the flowers for them, and then yeah, that came out of nowhere. So yeah, that's what all we're gonna do all the way down. I'm gonna be a little bit more careful with the spacing on these ones. I want to make sure that I get them spread out enough to where it covers the whole box with the amount of them that I have. So that's pretty much all that's gonna be with it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and bring you guys inside because it's just starting to rain and I don't want to have to be concerned with the camera, and all I'm gonna do is just speed through this really quick. But I will show you guys probably tomorrow what we ended up looking like here, and as well as something really awesome that happened over the weekend. So I will see you guys back here tomorrow. As promised, it is now tomorrow, and it is been a fairly nice day today. It rained a little bit this morning, but not much to speak of really at all. So I want to show you something really quick. If you remember, if you've been watching this channel for a while now, you will know that we have some hazard trees that we have needed to be removed for a while. And few weeks back, a friend of ours named James and his buddy Lane came by and got rid of several of these trees, and just the ones that are close to the house that were leaning in towards the house were kind of a danger, and then also they happened to be shielding a bunch of light from the garden. So last year it struggled a tremendous amount because it didn't have as much light as it needed. So those were gone. Hopefully that will help. And then we had a couple of trees that were leaning, like literally just leaning right over the house. Anytime there was a storm or anything, it was pretty. There's a branch down there, and I thought it was something else. And you can see here, it was just, it was leaning towards the house. Two of them that were like really leaning towards the house, like kind of scary, right above our bedroom. And then, oh, sorry for the light, and then there were several more trees that were they weren't quite as much of a hazard and weren't quite so obvious, but they were close to the house and they were also leaning towards the house. And then on the other side, where the sunshine is, there was one really big, very, very tall, dead cottonwood that had been dead long before we ever moved here, and it was leaning towards the house, and it was really, really dangerous. So they got all of those trees gone, and it was just awesome, such a blessing and such a relief to finally. Last night actually we had our first storm since the trees were gone, and I wasn't really overly concerned about it. I know we have other trees, but none that were such a direct danger to the house and to us. So that was pretty awesome. And if you are interested, if you're in the area and you have some hazard trees knocked down and you want some, weekend hazard tree removal specialists to come by your house and check it out, I will leave a link to his channel down below. Check him out on his channel. He also has just some fun tree felling videos and some other, just some other videos also. So make sure you go check him out if you're interested in that. First things first, this first bed here is just going gangbusters. We have a bunch of radishes, kale, and peas in here, and they are just doing phenomenal. You can see here, the radishes are going crazy, but they are also just getting devoured by earwigs, slugs, not sure what, probably a combination. I've seen them both on there. And then the peas, I'm having a hard time getting them to actually attach to the trellis, especially here on this side. I made the mistake of, on this bed here, I put the trellis up too high. And so they're just, flailing about in the wind. Hopefully eventually they'll find their way onto the trellis. And then this one, you remember last week, was really struggling. And it's really started to take off. This one is planted with kale, collards. Let me see. This bed is planted with collards, kale, rutabagas, turnips, and again peas. So that's pretty exciting. Oh, and a few Swiss chard at the end here. And it looks like a mustard green that got mixed in there. And then here we have our beans that are going up the trellis here. They're kind of looking like they're a bit nitrogen deficient, so I'm not sure what to do about that one. But I'll probably just water them with some fish emulsion. And then these are just going crazy. This is oak leaf, and we have some butter crunch, some red, some romaine. They're just doing great. And then we have some peas that we actually planted in the ground. The rest of those beans and peas were actually planted Charles Downing multi-sown style, so that's pretty cool. And then, like I said, we had our first storm last night, and it definitely blew over some of the cabbage. Some of them are starting to bounce back, and some of them just need a little bit more time. And here's Robert getting his dinner. Making a salad. Those oak leaf are really tasty.
Learn how to wash it.
Yep. That's the nice part about having the wood chips. You don't even have to wash them. So then over here with the tomatoes, I'm just going through and replanting a couple. The one that I had here was a pink ox heart, and these ones just didn't do very well in the seedling stage. So I didn't have a good assortment to choose from. But once I up-potted them, oh,
there it is.
Robert's giant salad.
Yes.
So So this one had completely shriveled up and just disappeared. And then this one got topped somehow. So I had to replant these 2 pink oxhearts. Hopefully these ones last because I don't think I have any more pink oxhearts left. But the rest of these things are going crazy. I came through yesterday and I think it was yesterday, yeah. And I got rid of all of the suckers that were growing yesterday and kind of just cleaned up the bottom. We made sure none of them are on the ground. And so they're just doing fantastic so far. So, I mean, look at this thing. Who wouldn't want that? So these are the sauce tomatoes. They're doing great. And then we have some cherry and some slicers over here. So then we have the paste tomatoes. Need a little bit more time and attention. I think the plants themselves are just a little bit weaker. I'm not sure if it's the way I started them or if it's the seeds or what it is, but they're doing good, but not as good as the other ones. So with all of these paste tomatoes, I have not gone through and done the same thing that I did on all the other ones, and I have not gotten rid of the suckers or anything like that because I'm still needing to do some research. I think they're determinate, most of them, and so I just need to look into them and make sure if I'm supposed to cut all the shoots or just let them go crazy. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that, so I haven't done that yet. All the potatoes over here, we have these ones were the ones that were grown by seed, and then we have some of the, I think, what was it, Bite Kuteku? These ones that Robert planted a few weeks back. These ones are all seed, and then you can get to, obviously this is one that was the seed potatoes, and then all of those over there also are potatoes, are just doing fantastic. And the squash garden is doing pretty okay. Some of them, most of this top row here got obliterated, which was all the ones I was really excited about, which sucked. These ones were all of like the smaller ones. These were like the carnival squash, the delicatas, the butternut squash, stuff like that, and they got obliterated. So they are being restarted, but you know, they're going to be behind. And then these ones here, these are kind of like the zucchini style squashes, and then some of the larger ones down here. So they're doing okay, most of them. All right, so whoopsie. So we yesterday and today we got this entire 89-foot long garden bed planted, except for this first one here. So I guess it's more like 81 feet. So as you see here, you saw yesterday, we planted all of these as just one giant zinnia bed, and then we planted nasturtiums right behind it. Then here we have yarrow here, and then behind it sunflowers. We planted evening sun and I think it was violet, I think. So we planted here Sweet William or Dianthus, I can't remember, whatever you want to call them, and we just planted a few of them. I planted all that I had left because I don't know what happened to them. I had a package of them and I started several of them, and I don't know what happened to the seeds. I don't remember them dying. I don't remember much of anything, so I'm not sure what happened to them. So hopefully those will take off and we can just have a nice little bush of Sweet Williams. And then right next to it, we planted in this line here, we planted Wix Lima Bean. Then over here, the way that I kind of laid it out is I'm doing 2 flower beds and then 1 tomato bed, and then 2 flower beds and 1 tomato bed. And in the tomato beds, what I've decided to do, I have these, they're still not planted. I'm waiting for them all to kind of grow up into the light because I can't plant them deep, so I need to plant a trench. And so I want to wait for them to grow up towards the light. A lot of them have, but several have not yet. So I'm planting them about 2 feet apart, maybe not quite 2 feet apart, but pretty close. And then in between each, I have basil plants. And then in front, I have these here, whoops, I just tore it a little bit, marigolds. And then I have a line of Wix lima beans. This is the only one that I did the front line of the lima beans because I have a different plan for the other ones that I discovered later on, which I will show you. Then we have like African daisy, and African daisy was over there, Genovese daisy, I think. Probably wrong. But anyways, So here I planted very tall, sturdy sunflowers, and then I'm going to come along in a few weeks when they, they get going pretty well, or a month or so. I'm going to plant pole beans to climb up them. So that's kind of my plan with those. And then in between each of the sets of flowers, like along here, I planted bush beans, and then one in between each here I planted bush beans. And that's the same thing kind of all the way down. But these last two tomato beds, I didn't plant anything along the front, and my thinking is that I may or may not later on, I might come through and plant some trailing squashes here so they can grow up here. My only issue with that is that I have 2 more batches of meat birds coming, and I'm going to need this area to run them. So I haven't really decided exactly what I'm going to do, but I have left myself open to the possibility. And then kind of in some areas I planted sunflowers, some areas I planted nasturtiums, only a few areas I planted nasturtiums, and then some areas pole beans, kind of just varied it. And so you can see, kind of all moving down. Got everything planted. So you can see that we have tons and tons and tons of cucumbers, melons, cucumbers and melons for the most part. And these ones, I feel like these ones still need a couple more weeks in these planters before I uppot them. I'll probably go ahead and check on a couple of them to see how the root development is. But I kind of feel like they just need a little bit more time developing before I put them out. And my reason behind that is that they need to be nice and strong and big so they can climb really quick and get away from the slugs. That's kind of my thinking behind that. And then also right behind there in that green pot, I have a bunch of squash that I need to uppot. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that this week or if I'm going to do it next week, but I need to do that. And then also I have some beans that I need to uppot, and what else? Oh, and I also need to go ahead and start a bunch more flowers. I did not realize how many flowers that bed down there would take. I don't have really any extras to plant to interplant in my actual garden here. So I need to plant a bunch of those, and I need to just do some other things, some piddling around. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let you guys go so I can get a few other things done. There's not a whole lot left to do, but I kind of just gonna probably piddle around for the rest of the evening, maybe do some video editing, and we will see what actually happens. And as always, I will see you guys back here next week for another gardening vlog. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Bye.